It's Wednesday evening. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe with Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. Every week, we will interview guests that are experts in various fields of the supernatural, paranormal, unexplained, and esoteric. So sit back and let us take you on a journey to educate, enlighten, and entertain as we broaden your horizons. Now, here's your hosts, Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. The views and opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the network, or our sponsors.
Alrighty, and it's me, Wendy, of the Mystic Moon Cafe, Mafia Network, you know, all that fun stuff. Travis is having Travis issues, I think. Somebody's howling, trying to get my attention on Facebook, but I'm going to ignore them because, by golly, this is your show, and I'm here for you, misters. It's still no Travis. Come on, Travis. Travis. Alrighty, I will play Late Night Callers Tourniquet just to get us started. And
I'm here.
Hi, Travis.
You got me. You got me.
Duty.
Sorry.
How's it going?
I told you that I had muted it.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't unmute it?
No, it wouldn't unmute. So here I was. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what is going on in Wendy's world? Because it's windy where I am.
Oh, well, I'm sure it is. If you've got tornado warnings and storming and, like I usually have on show night.
I know. It's been one of those days.
Mm-hmm. That it has. Nope, just, having one of those days where thinking, as I'm trying to get out of bed and the nonsense is going on, and just thinking, the only way I'm ever going to get out of this shithole is in a body bag.
Oh.
I know, right?
Wow, you're just a bright ray of sunshine, aren't you?
I'm a little, what is that,
Damn.
lollipop of psycho dipped in something or something? Yeah, I don't remember.
That's just, you got like my attitude going on now.
It'll be okay.
And you said shithole.
I know. Well,
that's, it's typically I'm the one to draw first blood when it comes to, blue language.
I'm sorry. You know what? That's an excrement hole.
That's what it is.
Ah, yes, the game is afoot, and I am really, really, really wanting to hurt somebody. But I won't, because it's really not in my nature. I just want to a lot. You understand?
Oh, tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it. So, let's see. You've had one of those weeks where you think the only way you can get out of your shithole is through a body bag.
Yep, pretty sure. And you?
Well, it's been a week.
Mm-hmm.
Very busy. At the radio station, a very busy week. We had the annual Chamber of Commerce award ceremony last night. And my boss, the owner of the station, was recognized as the business owner of the year.
Okay.
So there was lots of food and entertainment and drinking and all that good stuff that goes along with chamber events.
Oh, Travis, please tell me you followed my advice and waited to do your heavy drinking until you got home. That's what I thought.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry,
it's nothing on me, just that I like to be more at the top of my game out in social situations.
Well, it started out paced, very, very, very well paced, but it was a cash bar.
Uh-oh.
Instead of an open bar. And so the owner just handed the bartender the corporate credit card, and it was just kind of open tab, free flowing from there.
Uh-oh.
So a lot of wine last night. A lot. I didn't do liquor or anything like that. Just a lot of wine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then today was feeling it. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And had to work and do all that stuff. And then I actually spent the night in Kentucky last night. Stayed over there, got a hotel room, and then drove back to Virginia tonight. And I'll be driving back to Kentucky tomorrow and Friday. And then actually have Monday off, so that's nice. I get a 3-day weekend,
Oh,
so that's going to be fun.
Theoretically,
Yes.
anyway, right?
Theoretically, yeah. Well, this is actually the last Memorial Day I had to work because one of our clients scheduled a 2-hour remote.
Oh.
And then last 4th of July, same thing. And Labor Day, same thing. So other than Christmas and New Year's, I have not had an actual holiday off since I started there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's that. So this time we did not schedule. I did not let them schedule a remote for Memorial Day. Although the nice thing when I do that, I do make $60 an hour when I do the remotes. So that's kind of nice.
That is
when
nice.
when they're on holidays or weekends.
Right.
So I knocked myself out of $120, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the peace of mind and the 3 days off is worth that.
Yes, it is. And
Are you drinking straight from the bottle, buddy?
I did just drink straight from the bottom. I'm having a beer.
Oh, okay.
I'm having a beer. Yeah, not
it
wine.
sounded like a bigger bounce when you set it down. I thought, oh crap, he has one of those great big flagons.
He's got one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said flagon.
Is that correct?
It is. No, just last weekend. Do you remember the Danny Kaye movie, The Court Jester?
Yes.
With the flagon with the dragon has the vessel with the pestle has the poison, the pellet with the poison. Yeah, I showed my kids. I showed my kids that skit on YouTube. I thought they were going to die when they saw that, and then that got me on a roll. So then I went and I pulled up Who's on First on YouTube and showed that too.
Of course.
So they were rolling by the time that everything was said and done. So it was fun. We had a good time. And then I had my radio show this morning, of course, and we did a recap of the Chamber Awards ceremony last night. Did our tribute to Roger Moore, which I was saddened by his death yesterday.
Oh yes, definitely.
I'm a huge James Bond fan. And he was not my favorite of the Bonds, although I know this isn't going to make any sense. He was not my favorite of the Bonds, but most of his movies tend to be my favorites.
I understand.
Simply because they were fun. He took Bond to a whole different tongue-in-cheek level. So we did a little tribute. I had my producer put together a little collage of sound clips from his some of his best lines from Bond, the ones that I could play on an FCC licensed radio station.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
Of course. Yeah. So. But yeah, so it was. We're doing well. I haven't made, unfortunately, I haven't made goal a single month this year, which really upsets me because this time last year, I had made goal every month and every quarter. So sales are off and down a little bit. So
different year, different leadership that everyone's terrified of.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. And that happens. I was talking to the owner about it, and then I was talking to Vanjie Williams, of course, who's ramping up her bid for U.S. Congress in 2018. And she and I were talking about it. And I started out in broadcasting. This is my 25th year, actually. This is my silver anniversary as a broadcaster.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. September of 1992 is when I started. So this coming September will mark 25 years in broadcasting. So in that time, what is that? 25 years for 6 presidential elections. This happens.
That's a bunch.
Yeah, and every time, it doesn't matter, regardless of the party, every time a new president and a new party, doesn't matter which one, takes office, the economy becomes very, very uneasy, especially when it comes to advertising, because people, they just don't know. They're not spending money that they don't have to spend. Is there going to be a war? Is there not going to be a war? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? What's he going to do? So there's all this uncertainty. And it'll probably... The interesting thing that I'm hearing from advertisers, everybody that I call on is third quarter. So it's like this magic number for everyone is going to be the third quarter of this year, which starts in July. So we'll see, I guess. I'm hoping if everybody buys advertising in the third quarter that says they're going to buy advertising, I'll have a good third quarter.
Then, by golly, we'll have to work on them.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Okay, Kim's going to feed the cats and probably go tinkle and get herself together. She just got home. So we've got a few more minutes to...
That's fine.
Now, I did want to ask, you didn't respond to my inquiry about us doing a last week tonight deal, maybe on a different night, kind of get a little more political. Did you think that was a horrible idea?
No, honestly, I had forgotten that you sent me that message. I meant to respond.
Okay.
I like the idea. I do. Mm-hmm. I think we should. I think we could work on it and come up with something and do maybe not 2 hours, but maybe an hour.
Right, something. And we could even bring Vanjie on and talk to her.
We could.
About her upcoming campaign. Excuse me, I was searching for the word in my head and looking at the picture of my friend's horse drinking. Yeah. A friend of mine lost a horse during one of those god-awful thunderstorms last Thursday down in Wichita, Kansas. And the horse got colic, and they were all out in it trying to save the horse, and it just didn't happen. And the other horses have been grieving, so she's happy about that. Sorry, I was just sharing.
That's fine.
Yep, poor old Clover. But yeah, I thought that might be fun and interesting, and we could go after Orange Sphincter and the whole bit. Yeah.
All kinds of fun.
And then some, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, I think, we could choose a night, maybe even a Monday night and recap on the previous week or something like that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, kind of in the spirit of last week tonight.
Yeah, because he does his on Sundays, doesn't he?
Yes, Sunday night.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But, I mean, we don't have to completely copy, although he is funnier than heck.
Yes, he is.
I can't come up with that kind of a delivery. I'm not that quick. I can come up with smart-ass, sarcastic...
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can. I'm really good at that. Always have been, but... I'm just not quite that quick. But his is scripted out, so there.
That's true. We need to have a good scriptwriter. That's what we need.
You're going to make me do something else?
No, we need to get a good scriptwriter. Maybe, I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know who we could get to do that.
Yeah, all right. We'll just copy the funnies out of the current news feeds and shows and whatnot. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Sound bites, sound clips. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, we could have done your thing to James Bond, but you didn't let me know.
I know. I'm sorry. It has been. I told you, it's been a week. It's been a Wednesday. It's been a Wednesday, Wendy. Wednesday. Well, I don't know.
Everyone knows it's Wednesday, Wendy.
That's it. And it's a wet Wednesday, Wendy. And it's a wet, windy Wednesday, Wendy. Now, let's say that one.
No. Yeah, as I think I wrote to you one time or texted you one time, you've never been on a job site, one of the very few females on a construction site, and some of the guys deciding to sing, everyone knows it's Wendy as you're walking, wherever the hell you're going.
And I keep telling you what makes you think I've not experienced that.
And I keep thinking, I don't know if I want to go there and ask him or not.
And you keep going, what the hell kind of construction sites is he walking past?
Yeah, no doubt. I know these guys. They were not pleased with you for what they were singing that to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, though.
All right. It's a lot of construction sites in San Francisco, things like that.
Right. Well, that's true. Yes. And beyond.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah. What do you want to talk about now? Sorry, it's lagging.
Well, I was going to say no. Let's. We've got to give our guest time to get situated.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, feed the cats and think. I have no idea if that's a euphemism or.
No, I think she has cats.
That's actually what she's doing.
Dinner. Yeah.
So, let's talk upcoming guests. Now next week? Is it next week?
Yes,
it is next week.
It is next week.
Cami Anderson, Richard Estep.
Yep.
Back on talking Haunting of Asylum 49.
Mm-hmm. Help
me out. I know June 14th.
We're having on the 7th, June 7th, it will be Becky Ray of Ghosts to Go-Go with Becky Ray.
Ghosts to Go-Go.
She's out of Kansas City. Excellent storyteller. I believe she's also an investigator. A historian of sorts, and very entertaining. Very, very entertaining. Did you want me to continue?
Please.
Okay.
And on the 14th, we have Nick Redfern.
We do, yes. And we will be talking about his Area 51, or the Roswell incident.
Roswell, yes.
Oh, Roswell, okay. Apparently, Kim heard you because she said there's no euphemism. The cats are fed.
I'm just asking.
But, yes, we'll be doing that with Nick Redfern, but we're going to do a special show on June 11th with David Weatherly and Dave Spinks of... Oh, crap, it's something supernatural. But they do live broadcastings of it on YouTube and on their Facebook pages. Awesome. And they have the Mothman DVD coming out shortly, I believe.
Very excited to have them on so we can talk Mothman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we've got exciting guests coming up, and more in the lineup that in our sites that we're shooting for. Just have to hear back from and get things going together there. Excuse me, my nose is wanting to run. Stupid pollen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. It's so funny because, like, when I'm in Virginia, there's certain things that are blooming that my allergies bother me. Mm-hmm. So I cough and sneeze. And then I'll go to Kentucky and I'll be okay because it's not there. But whatever's in Kentucky, after a while, it starts irritating my allergies. So it's like I can't get, it's like I can't get relief anywhere.
The itchy ears get me.
So, yeah. I was going to say, do you know, because I am anxious to talk about Mothman. Of course, you know, that is one of my favorite
yes, I know
subject,
that.
one of my favorite things to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that they know that Mothman was a Mothman and not a Mothwoman?
Oh, boy. Okay, Travis, how did they know Mothman is a man and not a woman?
Because of his mothballs.
Oh, shit.
You should have seen that. You should have seen that coming.
Well, you know, I don't know why it popped in my head about the coconut milk, and why didn't they just call it nut milk? And
that would be why.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. You know, on that note, tonight we'll be playing the Late Night Callers song called Tourniquet from their... Oh, shoot, I forgot the name of that album, but they're a local Kansas City independent band. Mm-hmm. They do music. It's kind of like a film noir. Their entire presentation in their concerts.
That's cool.
They haven't had any this year so far, but it's all done in costume and just kind of wooey and creepy and fun.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is called there.
Yes, it's called Tourniquets.
Tight
Tourniquets.
Tight Tourniquet, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And while we do that, I'll let you get Kim on the line. Do you want me to unplug my headphones and play it out loud for you guys, or no?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Then here we go. I will get them on the line and play the song, and then it'll all be fun and good. Hang on. And that was a local Kansas City group called the Late Night Callers, song called Tourniquet. Kind of film noir-y, spooky, ghostly, perfect for our guest. Tonight we've got Miss Kim Douthit. Hi, guys.
Hey!
Hey!
Your volume needs to come up just a little
I was
bit.
gonna say, yeah, I can't hear you very well.
Oh, any better?
Little bit. Keep going.
Really? Okay,
Really?
how's that? Better?
Can you hear me now, commercial?
Yeah, no doubt. Here, let me pull the laptop a little bit closer. There we go. How's that?
That helps a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Come on, be windy, lady. Use those lungs. Project.
Ooh, like the vomit from that one show.
Or this morning. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We were talking about
That was you.
Reliving The Exorcist.
yes.
Those are never pleasant days.
They are not at all. I do really try to refuse vomiting after I've been drinking because that's just a waste of money.
Truer words have never been spoken.
You have control over that? Because usually once it starts, it's just...
Well, he says he drank wine, and that always makes me vomit before I ever get a good buzz off of it.
No, that's all I drank last night. Well, I had a couple of beers. That's not true. I had a couple of beers and I drank wine. I didn't do liquor. I tend to not do liquor a lot. I do like my vodka martinis.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love scotch. I don't drink scotch. I don't drink scotch a lot anymore. But it's so yeah. It was mostly. I would have preferred a Pinot Noir. They didn't have that, so I got stuck with a cab. So I was okay. It wasn't great, but it was also. I mean, it was a Chamber of Commerce event. I was just thankful they had alcohol and all, so that it made it more bearable.
Mm-hmm. Is that a dry county, as they say?
Well, ironically, it had been, and then it changed, and then they also just in December started selling alcohol on Sundays. You had to go to a neighboring county to buy alcohol on Sunday. You did.
Those blue laws are a bitch.
Yeah, they in the Bible Belt. Yeah, in the Bible Belt. Yeah. So.
Seattle pretty much just hands out liquor everywhere now. If you get a grocery store, you can go to the drugstore. Doesn't matter. Pot and liquor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you, the grocery stores have had. I mean, they do have their beer in Kentucky. Your wine and your liquor you have to buy at a liquor store. Now in Virginia, you can buy wine and beer in your grocery stores, but you have to buy your hard liquor at state-run liquor stores. There are no independently owned liquor stores in the state of Virginia. They're all state-owned by the Alcoholic Beverage Control Corporation.
Wow.
But there is actually a golf course in Prestonsburg, which is the city where the radio station is, and they have a restaurant and a bar. And they petitioned, and finally, because of the movers and shakers and the wheelers and dealers, they got the law changed so that they could serve alcohol on Sundays on the course and in the restaurant. And it was one of those things that was kind of done. It was done in sunshine laws and all that. Everything was done very open, but it was done very quietly. So literally, there are several restaurants in the city that could serve alcohol if they wanted to, but they didn't actually know that the law had passed, so they weren't able to get their the city ordinance for their business changed in time. So right now, the golf course, Reno's Roadhouse, and one other restaurant are the only three that are serving alcohol on Sundays, and they stay packed.
Wow. I'd say that's a nice monopoly to have.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is. So. But we digress.
When don't we? Uh-oh. Are you mad at us?
Nope.
Okay.
we digress all the time. This show,
Yes, we do.
We don't just go down the rabbit holes. We actually dig our own and jump in them.
Mhm.
Rabbit holes, gopher holes, mole
Everything.
holes, everything.
Yes, everything. Hole holes, shit holes. Apparently, Wendy was talking earlier about her shit hole and that she was only going to be able to escape it in a body bag. So,
Yeah.
she's a bright ray of freaking sunshine.
I am.
I'm getting the tone. I'm feeling a tone being set. I like it.
Well, I did mark this show as explicit, so.
All of our show. Okay, I have said this time and time again. You made me create a disclaimer, not for our guests, but because of the shit that comes out of my mouth on this show.
That's absolutely why I did it. Well, and some of our more preachy guests who have different views on things than I personally do, and I just thought, you know what? Yeah, let's have it, because I'm not dealing with hate mail.
Speaking of hate mail, the YouTube post that I had you leave up, anything on that? Any more added? I haven't checked.
No, I haven't seen any more notices or anything, and it just didn't make sense. It was someone.
It was the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind. One of my favorite quotes.
On the internet?
Yes.
I know.
Right. On a YouTube video, no less. Not even a YouTube video, but a YouTube audio, because it was from our show. Yes.
Oh, and this guy just went off. I say guy. I don't know if it's a guy or not. This individual went off on this rant. And like I said, it's the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind.
Right. It made no sense. It was somebody who really didn't know. They just wanted to have an opinion on it.
They just wanted to be confrontational.
Yes.
And kind of, in your face and wagging a finger and
on the internet?
I know. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh.
It is the internet. They could have been wagging anything. I don't know, but they were being very confrontational. I know that.
Yes, they were.
Wendy's like, I think I need to take it down. I'm like, no, hell, leave that shit up. Let's see.
And Bill just laughed at it. Or us.
Generate conversation.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Bill's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, good thing.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to.
Me too, actually. All right. Shall we talk to Kim about, stuff she does then?
Well, we will. Now, she asked me a question I don't have an answer to. She wanted to know, and I know that doesn't happen very often. She wanted to know if June Brothel was going to be coming on the show tonight.
June, you said you're listening on your phone. Would you like me to call you on your phone even, and you can join our conversation, lady? Because it's always most fun with you.
Brothel.
Apparently, you may need to get a bottle of something. Sure, if you'd like. Okay, do you want me to call you on your phone or on your Skype? They're coming to take me away. Oh.
I think that's out my window. I apologize.
That's okay.
Shit, they found me again.
Jeez, it's the fuzz.
Run for your lives.
Could be any one of us thereafter, let's face it.
That's true. That's very, very true. Continue your all's conversation, and I'll see if I can bring June in with us.
Brothel. June and I have this ongoing thing. Every time she's on the show, she talks about investigating this hospital or this hotel, and it happened to have been a brothel at one point. And every single building she investigates is a brothel.
Yes.
Well, naturally.
And I'm like, okay, drinking game. Every time June's on the show and says brothel, everybody take a drink.
Here we go,
only
June.
if June says it?
Oh,
yes.
no, anybody can say it.
Oh, well, okay.
Anybody can say it, but anybody can say it, but June says it most of the time. I was in this brothel, or this. I was like, really?
It may or may not have been haunted. It doesn't
may
matter.
or may not have been haunted. Right. It may or may not still be operating. Hi, June.
It was Vegas.
Hey, guys.
What happens in haunted brothels stays in haunted brothels.
Darn tootin'. That should be the new ghost motto.
That should be.
Yes, I think it should. They're my last story of brothel.
She said brothel.
Every... Oh, my God. Well, let's hear about Kim. I'll just listen for a while.
Okay, yeah.
Let's find out about our guest this evening.
I am the supernatural honey for thehorrorhoneys.com. We are a horror website. We review and talk about horror films and television and books and comics and all that fun stuff. We also have a magazine called Belladonna. It's the only horror magazine entirely run by women. So that's pretty cool. I'm a member of AGHOST, too, with June, as well as a tour guide at Spooked in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I also work in the theater. I start listing the jobs, and it could go on for a while. So, like, pick one or two to focus on or whatever. The list goes on. I also direct and teach theater. I was actually coming from a class where the kids are doing a 10-minute Macbeth, and one of the children really wants to add sound effects. And I'm like, Miss Kim, we need to put in some sound effects when I stab the king. And I said, well, actually, depending on how hard you're stabbing him, we might not need it. It could be quiet. Miss Kim, why do you know that? No reason. Moving on.
Valid question.
Let it go, kids. Let it go. Don't question it. Just accept the things your teacher knows. It's a wealth of knowledge at my disposal.
There you go. You'll understand when you're older.
Exactly. But don't ask too many questions. You'll learn that as you get older, too.
You can just stab some Jell-O, or a watermelon, a few times. I'll make good sound effects.
There's a lot of ways we can make this work. But if you're going for the stealth, then you do it slowly, and then there's barely any sound. Allegedly, I don't know.
Allegedly.
I say, what the hell are you all talking about? I've got totally lost in this conversation. I'm lost.
Stabbing someone.
I'm lost between Jell-O and a watermelon.
Stabbing Jell-O or watermelon.
Foley effects. You can use those to make a Foley effect for stabbing.
Or you can
theoretically.
Just stab someone.
It's true. Theoretically, yeah. If you want to go for accuracy, just stab someone.
Right, exactly. You get the sound of the knife penetrating the body, and you get their surprised look and sound of shock when you've done it.
Exactly.
Painful death cries? Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. So, Kim, you were talking Horror Honeys. You guys review. You review. I said you guys. That's an inappropriate.
You ladies.
Gender-biased term.
You ladies.
Yeah. You ladies of the evening. Wait, no, that's brothel.
That's June's job.
He can't get away from that, can he? He just can't get away from that.
It's just too easy, June. You just make it too damn easy.
Yeah, people have said I'm too easy, but we won't talk about that. Sorry, Kim. Go ahead.
So you basically you review anything horror related, or do you expand outside of that genre as well?
We do. I mean, primarily horror. We review. We have our website. We have a podcast. We do panels. We do a lot of live tweets. We're very active on the Twitter. But we will. I mean, anything in the kind of realm of horror, so sci-fi and thriller. Sometimes some of the kind of darker action-y movies will make its way. Stuff that maybe you can kind of squint your eyes and it's sort of horror-ish. But horror is our main. Those. I mean, there are those movies.
Yes, I do.
Horror. Yeah. It's like horror, but it's not horror, and you're like, well. But we'll cover those too. There's 13 of us. And we each have our designation, although we don't always strictly stick to it. But I mainly cover these supernatural things.
Okay.
So you have a full coven working there.
We do have a full. We were very excited when we hit 13 because we had a full coven. There was much rejoicing at the Horror Honeys.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm trying to figure out what you call half a coven.
A cove? I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking. It's just a cove.
It's a cob.
Works. I'm just like, we have a full coven. What the hell do you have? I mean, isn't that kind of redundant? I mean, either you have a coven or you don't.
It's true.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I was just that's just the way my mind works today. I'm sorry.
It was all the wine.
Yeah.
You ain't lying. Well, what? Okay, so you are the supernatural honey, which means so in that vein, you examine the supernatural elements of horror.
I cover a lot of the supernatural movies.
So like The Conjuring 2.
Oh,
Annabelle,
yes.
The James Wan classics.
If it's James Wan, it probably falls under my my jurisdiction.
Right.
Definitely.
And having the added benefit of being a paranormal investigator, I will sometimes write pieces about. In fact, I'm writing a piece for next month's issue that's about why isn't this a movie, and it's examining other cases of supernatural happenings that haven't yet been made into a movie. And June, you'll know this one. I'm writing one about the Walker Ames house.
Oh, really? Cool.
Fantastic. Because it's a cool
my favorite
story.
place.
Yeah, it's a great location. Awesome history, and so it's kind of, again, why isn't anyone, other than Zombies of Mass Destruction, which I believe they filmed at the Walker Ames house, and that doesn't count.
Yes, they did. They did film it there.
Yeah. But I'm choosing to forget that fact.
It wasn't that horrible. It was kind of cute, and some of the townspeople were in it, so it was fun, to watch, but it wasn't disastrous horrible.
Yeah.
With a lot of things we have seen.
That's true. I mean, my bar is fairly low these days, so.
Mine too.
Mine too. I need to restock. Oh wait, you different bar. Sorry.
Yeah, different bar.
People sometimes ask me, like, is it good about, especially a lot of the direct-to-video, direct-to-Netflix streaming kinds of movies. And I'm like, well, where's your bar? I mean, I'll watch it, and I'll probably find it entertaining enough. But if you're looking for a good movie, no, probably not this one.
No.
Yeah.
You bring up an interesting point, though. Looking at stories that would make great horror films. Unfortunately, a lot of times, the really good stories get picked up as direct-to-DVD, direct-to-Netflix crap.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
And now, that's not always the case. I do enjoy kind of scrolling through the Netflix horror section because you can occasionally find a good gem. You can find a good direct to Netflix, not the quote unquote sci-fi original horror films that the sci-fi likes to, the Beast of Bray Road. Although I have to say, one of my favorite, and I love werewolf movies. I'm a huge werewolf fan. Dog Soldiers, I thought, was an amazing.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I love Dog Soldiers.
That was just it came out of nowhere. Wasn't expecting anything. I'm like, holy shit, this is a good movie.
Probably incredibly low budget, given what they were working with. But it was good, and it's kept you creeped out, forever afterwards.
And the acting was solid.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Very much.
And the cinematography was good. And it was just a good film.
Well, and Neil Marshall then did The Descent.
Yes.
A little bit after that. Yeah, which is another fantastic.
Yeah.
I think fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of have this thing with caves and being enclosed and claustrophobic and that sort of thing. So I actually watched The Cave and The Descent back to back just to try to deal with
Oh my
it.
gosh. Oh my god.
Immersion therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that was it.
but both similar storylines, similar kind of concepts, and both very original concepts, and both really good movies in their own way.
Yeah.
I think I personally preferred The Descent, partially because I thought, I'm a sucker for anything, again, with a strong female cast.
Right.
Which The Descent is essentially an entirely female cast. But I thought the claustrophobic elements
yeah,
of
that was so
really,
much.
really well captured
Yes.
in The Descent.
Very well.
I found it hard to breathe when I was watching that several times, just because I just was like, okay, breathe, just breathe. Yes.
Well, and I saw the original movie with the original ending, and I was watching it again with some friends who I'd highly recommended it to, and suddenly the movie stops, and I'm like, what? No.
That's what I was like too. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what
This is not supposed to be a happy ending.
Right.
No. The first ending was like, oh my God, it tore my heart out, but it was really good. I couldn't believe they didn't have that. That was hilarious.
And I can't believe we're still at a point in time where they still feel the need to, for whatever reason, kind of placate the audiences in the U.S. and saying, oh, you can't handle this kind of ending. We're going to make it a little bit more palatable. And I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Did you see the ending, Travis? The original ending?
I did. Yes.
I was wondering if you saw it too. Yeah,
I did.
Was like, because the next time I saw it, the same thing happened. When all of a sudden I thought, oh, what?
When it airs on TV, generally it is the cut ending.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a sucker. I always will watch the director's cut.
Oh yeah.
Before I watch if I buy one and it's like, no, I don't even. Ones that I've seen at the theater, and then I'll watch the director's cut. It's like, I was talking about werewolf movies. I actually really enjoyed the Benicio del Toro Wolfman. I thought they did a great job. It harkened back to the Universal horror films. I mean, it was campy, it was cheesy in some ways, but you watch the theatrical version, and then you watch the director's cut, and the director's cut makes it a hell of a lot better movie.
I haven't seen the director's cut. I'll admit of that.
Yeah,
I saw the original. Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and
yeah, I bought it on DVD, and I went ahead and watched the director's cut first, and then I watched the original, and I'm going, and having worked in different types of media over the years, I know editing makes or breaks anything, whether it's a film, whether it's a book, whether it's a recording, whatever. And sometimes I wonder what the hell they're thinking when they cut some of the stuff out. Wow. And it's like, do you go for substance and content, or do you go to keep it in a certain allotted time? And no, I don't think every horror film should be Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings length when you sit down to watch one. I don't think, nobody wants to sit through 3.5 hours of a horror film.
Slasher. No, they really don't.
But at the same time, you walk away going, so much was left on the cutting room floor that the story itself wasn't even told.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think.
Oh, sorry.
no, it's fine. So I just think I do. Anytime I buy a movie, it's always director's cut first if I haven't seen it, and then then the theatrical, and then I like to compare. And I'm going, what the hell was the director thinking? It's like I love the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I grew up on those. I saw them at the theaters. And I own both of them on DVD, and I own Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, which is actually spliced together from additional footage, and the movie is a totally different kind of Superman movie. It really is. There's the whole scene when he gets his powers back in Superman 2, so he can go fight Zod and the rest of the Kryptonian assholes. Instead of getting in the chamber and having, finding the green crystal again and getting his powers back, the green crystal actually brings Jor-El back. Oh. So Marlon Brando, actually, there's this whole extended scene with Brando.
Wow, why did they cut that out?
I don't know. I honestly, it's one of those things like, why would you cut this out? Because it does that whole thing, which was in Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, where, that Kryptonian prophecy, the son becomes the father becomes the son. And that's what Jor-El does. That crystal has brought him back just enough for him to pass on power back to Kal-El. And that is what gives him his Superman powers again. But it's like, it makes so much more sense. It ends up being a little more religious. It has a little bit more of a religious overtone. And I think that may have been what it was. It very much plays on the God Christ kind of paradigm, but it just makes more sense, and it's a better movie.
Well,
that's really interesting.
I find, and I mean, sometimes it's caving to what a studio thinks is going to sell, or again, sometimes for length.
Yes.
And the more a studio's messing with a movie, the more it's going to end up being, the more hands in it, the more it's just going to become a mess.
Yeah, I was going to say, my favorite example of that, I actually have two favorites. One, of course, is the prequel movies to The Exorcist, Dominion, and then Exorcist at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Same damn movie. But, the studio wanted it one way, and I just forgot his name, the author. William Peter Blatty wanted it differently. They had this parting of the ways, and you end up with both movies being released. One goes to the theater, and then both of them go to DVD. And so I own both of them. And honestly, if you could combine those two movies, it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Both of them have strengths and weaknesses, but it's just like, the whole battle in Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, is so much better than the demonic battle, but in Exorcist the beginning, where you find out the woman is the one possessed, and that didn't work for me. That didn't work in the storyline. It didn't work in the timeline. That didn't work. The other one did, and Chi-Chi being possessed, and being the light bear, that was just creepy as hell.
I remember that. I'll have to go back and watch those again. It's been a while.
I'm actually one of the few people who can fall asleep to The Exorcist just because I love the music.
It's fantastic music.
It is. I love it. I can sleep to that. I can sleep to that.
That's nice.
Well, we digress again. I'm sorry.
I'm at a point. I do each year, the 100 days before Halloween, I do 100 horror films I've never seen.
Oh, that's cool. I like that idea.
Very awesome.
Yeah. It's been a great way to catch up on, I mean, sometimes classics that, for one reason or another, I've just never gotten to. Foreign horror, another way to catch up there. And sometimes just seeing whatever crap is on Netflix.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because why not? And I will sometimes pick movies, especially when I start to get like to day 53 or 54, exclusively for length. So I'm like, all right, this movie's 70 minutes long. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm done. You got me sold. I can do 70 minutes right now. But I will say, you were talking about, who wants to watch a 3-hour long horror film. And I watched one recently. It was a South Korean film, I believe, called The Wailing. And the movie was pushing 3 hours. And it's fantastic.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. But I think it would be... It's a hard sell to a lot of, I think, particularly American audiences, because it's so long, and people don't want to sit through that.
Well, no, we don't want to sit through 3 hours of anything really.
Yeah,
in all honesty. I mean, short attention spans.
But I think cutting that movie down would be part of what's really effective about it is the really slow burn that's going on, and the use of time, the use of escalating things very, very slowly builds so much tension, and you lose that if you're condensing a movie down into 70 minutes.
True,
right.
Absolutely. Now I saw where you put off watching The Boy or doing your live tweet of The Boy.
Oh God.
Yeah, I put off doing the live tweet of The Boy in the wake of what happened in Manchester.
Now, have you seen it before, Kim?
I have. I did. I actually. Okay. I saw it. I saw it when it was first in theaters. I called the ending the first 5 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
pretty sure, but yeah.
Yeah. That was not. They did not make that subtle, which was fine. I mean, it's horror. It doesn't have to be subtle.
Right.
But still, I was really pissed.
Well, there was one moment, and I don't want to give spoilers for it if someone hasn't seen it and does want to watch it, but there was one moment where I thought it was going in a different direction, and I was like, oh, it fooled me. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Never mind, there it is. Called it.
Well, see, that was the way I got with M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh yeah,
with his movies.
Yeah,
if you sit down at an M. Night, The Sixth Sense, great.
Oh
great
gosh,
twist.
yes.
No one saw it coming. But basically, every movie after that, if you're watching his movie and you think it's one way, if you just take your mind the total opposite direction, you figured out M. Night Shyamalan's formula.
Yeah.
I mean you think this, but it's actually this. And that was I went to see The Village. Oh my God!
You paid money for it?
I paid money for that. That's exactly. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I was like that too.
This is horrible. What? Seriously? This is all that build up, all of that, and the thing was, it wasn't even halfway through. I'm like, shit. This is modern time. This is.
Yeah.
This isn't hundreds of years ago. Yeah. So, it's like, wow, okay.
Well, and I mean, I will say, The Sixth Sense and M. Night Shyamalan, he sort of made popular the extreme twist.
Yes.
But it's gotten to a point where we've now, as an audience, have come to expect the extreme twist. And so, people look for. I mean, it's. All people ask me, do you ever get scared? Do you ever get bothered by watching all this horror? And honestly, once you know all of the formulas, it takes so much to surprise you. Exactly. When a movie actually does, I mean, that's what I say with The Wailing. That movie did not go in the it took a couple different directions, and it did keep me guessing, and that was something I was really excited about because it doesn't happen a lot. But I also think there's too much of a movement of we have to put a twist in, we have to do this thing, and it's like a well-told story is a well-told story.
Yes,
and so even if we see the ending coming, if you're telling your story correctly, it doesn't matter. We all know how Cinderella's going to end, but if you tell it well, then your audience is still going to be pleased with the results.
You still will sit and watch, or you still will sit and listen. Exactly.
Because there's a reason they keep remaking those films.
Exactly. You see, some of my favorite classic horror films are the lesser known. I love Val Lewton.
Oh yeah.
Cat People. The Seventh Victim. I love The Seventh Victim. My favorite is The Leopard Man. I love The Leopard Man. Everything about that movie works. It is so well done. It is so well paced, and I love the fact that Lewton is revered today as this great film director for what he did. But what he did out of necessity because he was given short turnaround time and he was given almost no budget.
Oh yeah.
And so he created atmosphere. and he created tension, and you never see the horror, you never see whatever it is in his movies. It's always implied. He lets your imagination do the work, and I love those movies. I think they are. I think he is a phenomenal storyteller and a director. And that, honestly, we were talking about James Wan, and that's what I like about Wan. In all honesty, Wan does a really good job of telling a story.
Oh yeah.
It's not just shock and horror and blood and anything gratuitous, but there's actually a story that he is trying to tell you, and he does it both with his actors and he does it cinematography. You know what I'm saying?
Cinematography.
Still drinking that wine.
A cinematic standpoint, yes. So
now, did I just hear that he was going to be doing the reboot of Resident Evil? Somebody was talking about. Yeah, okay. I heard they're rebooting Resident Evil.
Didn't they just finish it?
Get into that.
Yeah,
they just finished the final chapter.
I thought we were finally done with it.
And then all of a sudden I hear, oh, they're doing a reboot of Resident Evil, and I think James Wan was directing it. And I was like, what?
He was doing, I thought, the Mortal Kombat reboot.
Oh my God, they're rebooting Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, of course they are.
Like, why would they reboot Mortal Kombat?
Of course they are.
You
can't be surprised by anything anymore.
No.
Oh, God.
As far as I know,
I'm gonna have to look it up.
No, because I know there's another Insidious coming out, but he's not directing it. I believe he's just doing the story and producing it. He's got Aquaman. He's directing Aquaman, I thought.
Ooh, that would be nice. With what's his name? Gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a spin-off from the Conjuring movies.
The Nun.
Oh
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, I think he's not directing it. He's producing that, and I believe doing the story for that as well.
Yeah.
I see.
So I mean, he's got a lot going on. I hadn't seen the Resident Evil thing, but we just finished
those. I
know. That's what I was like, what?
But now that begs the question, Kim and June. What horror movies need to be remade? What horror movie is begging to be remade?
That's a good question.
Well,
I don't think, I have to say, there's a lot of horror movies to me that are kind of sacred. And anytime that they do remake them, it's just like, oh my God, what in the hell are they thinking? Because it's going to bomb. I mean, like Poltergeist did. It's like, really? Why? Why did you remake it? I mean, there were some good parts actually in the new one, but
there were. I thought, I thought Sam Rockwell was an interesting choice for the dad.
Yeah.
And I like Rockwell. I would have. And then Jared Harris, I thought, added. It's funny, American movies love casting a Brit to add some type of legitimacy to a horror.
It's class.
I think so.
It's class. It was like like Roddy McDowell. When Roddy McDowell was like, put Roddy McDowell in anything, and that man adds legitimacy to it. Yeah. And
I thought so.
So
he's amazing.
Bright Night. Yeah.
Well, and I will say that something that does amaze me is talking to a younger generation of horror fans, especially teenagers. A lot of times they like the remakes because it speaks more to their generation. It speaks more to it's either because it's newer, flashier, or whatever.
But that's what's wrong with parents today. It's like they don't instill the love of the old classics today.
Damn it,
that's true. Yeah.
They don't.
I hate to even say old classics because I don't. Part of me doesn't think Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, was an old classic, but it's a classic.
Well, it's classic it's nostalgic, and I think, I sat down with my daughter loves horror films. And she'll be 13 in July, and she lives for horror films, and so she and I watch them together all the time. My son won't even come in a room when we're watching a horror film, but my daughter will sit there.
Awesome.
and we will do. And actually, we did the Paranormal Activity movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll come back. I'll come back to that in a second. But we did all. I guess it was. Are there 7 or 6? I never can remember now. There's 7.
There's 6 with the marked ones.
There's
the
6 marked
ones,
ones,
I
and
think one that's going to be coming out at some
right.
point.
Okay, so there's 6 right now.
Right.
So we watched the first 5 in one night. We did a marathon.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
We did
Nice.
them all 5.
It's parenting done right. I like it.
And she was like, and I was like, and I said, there's another one, and it's at Redbox. And she got up, and she walked to my room, and she got my keys, and she threw them at me, and she said, "Let's go to Redbox." So we went to Redbox. We got the Ghost Dimension, the newest one that came.
Yes.
And we watched it, and then it ended, and she went, "What the hell? Is there another? Is there another?" I said, "Well, there's not another one right now." She goes, "They can't just leave it like that." I said, "They can't because they want to have another one." I said,
Exactly.
But so I mean, she and I, we watched those, and we watched those horror shows, and I let her. We watched the original Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna, you should.
Yes.
And she looked at me and she said, "Dad, this is pretty cheesy shit."
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's true.
"What?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "This isn't scary." I said, "Okay, you have to understand, when this movie came out, it was scary as hell.
Yes, it was.
It terrified all of us."
Yeah.
None of us like
really
clowns
terrified anybody,
to
but-
this day.
Well, and
Okay,
I mean,
I won't say anything.
to that end, like, I saw The Exorcist as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciated it in terms of filmmaking, but it didn't scare me. And yet, my dad's not a horror fan at all, but like, that movie messed with him. That is a movie, like, it terrified so many people. I heard, I couldn't sleep after seeing it, and I watched it, and I was like, all right, again, it's a well done film, but I was too old and I'd seen too many other things to appreciate the effect it would have had if I'd seen it younger. Yeah, well, dated. It's The Birds, I think, is a great example. When The Birds first came out, that terrified, and it was so innovative, the kinds of shots he was doing and all this stuff. Yeah. And, I show it to younger people today, and they laugh at the stuff from The Birds' point of view, because it's,
It is. Well, I mean,
Birds,
even Psycho. I mean, if you watch Psycho today, which I did not long ago, it's still, it's a good movie. But I'm going, this terrified audiences. Well,
a lot of people wouldn't take showers.
In 1960, it scared the hell out of people. So it very much it is very much what we are accustomed to. It's like watching Rob Zombie do a horror film. It's like,
oh, why would you do that now?
Yeah.
You mean make music videos?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Really bloody music videos, yeah.
That's basically what he does with a lot of his horror movies.
It is. They are. You're absolutely right. They are very long
2 hour.
music videos. 2 hour music videos.
I mean, and I'm not knocking it. Like, I have my guilty pleasure is House of a Thousand Corpses, and I may be one of the 5 people on the planet who likes that movie.
Mine too. Actually, mine too. I really like it. I had to buy it. Yeah.
The Devil's Rejects, still pretty good. And honestly, I have to say, I did like his remake of Halloween. The first.
Blasphemy. Oh.
I know. I did like it. I did not like Halloween 2 at all.
No.
I found nothing
no.
about Halloween 2 redeemable.
I wish he had, instead of remaking Halloween, I wish he would have made an original slasher inspired by Halloween, because I don't think the backstory was unnecessary when you look at the original Halloween.
Right.
And how minimalist the original Halloween is. I mean, it's light on gore too. Like, people don't realize it's extremely light on gore. And I think that if he had said this is inspired by the 70s slashers, the 80s slashers, and by Halloween and made his own thing, then people would have been a lot more forgiving. But
well, but then he did his own original Lords of Salem, and that movie was like,
see, I liked Lords of Salem. I mean, liked is maybe a strong word. I found it. I found it really. I found it interesting.
It was interesting.
That's really good. I like that.
It was an interesting concept.
Oh yeah.
It was a very interesting concept. It was. I say this
I love D.
as
Wallace
diplomatically
too.
as possible.
D. Wallace.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, D. Wallace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, I also I say this as diplomatically as possible. It is lovely that he loves his wife so much that he puts her in literally everything he does. That is absolutely delightful. I would counter that hiring actual actors and actresses would benefit. And I mean, I think she is appropriate in the certain type of role. I don't think she needs to be in every single one of his movies, especially when asked to expand on a range that is maybe not her specialty.
I like that.
This is so politically correct of you tearing this woman apart. I like it.
Because again, I think that there's a lot of actors or models turned actors or whatever who are good at a certain thing. Mm-hmm. And when they play to their strengths, especially with the right director, the right editor, it can be a very happy match. And not everyone can be Meryl Streep. And not everyone can star in every single one of your movies or take heavy-hitting dramatic roles that just...
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But,
well,
just saying.
It's like Zombie wants to be, John Carpenter, but he's coming off a little bit more like Roger Corman. I mean,
exactly, that's perfect analogy.
And don't get me wrong, I like
in
Corman.
Blazing Saddles.
I like Corman's movies. I mean, and I love Corman's sense of humor about himself in his movies.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can tell that definitely.
I own Sharktopus, for God's sakes, just because. How can you not own a movie about a shark and an octopus hybrid? I mean, you have to.
I mean, that's a question I ask myself every day. It actually haunts me.
You need to own this movie. I mean, you have to own this movie. But it's like Zombie's trying so hard to make a name for himself as a horror director, and you can tell he's got good ideas. They're there. The concepts are there. The execution is shit many times.
Yeah.
But bless his little heart, he tries, right?
Well, that's. I mean, at least in House of a Thousand Corpses, again, I feel safe in this group of few people who like it, because I know among the horror honeys, this movie is not one that has made a good impression on most of the ladies, and I partially like it because his enthusiasm for 70s horror is so strong. And I love 70s horror, and there's a party that's just like, yeah, man, let's take this journey because it's fun. Is it quote unquote good? That's debatable, but you're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna laugh at the weird shit out of people's mouths and the little in jokes to things and cool. Let's do this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Amazing movie. But everybody has tried to emulate and not just emulate, but remake it. Oh, and I'm like, stop remaking the damn movie.
Stop remaking the damn movie. Stop it.
It was what it was.
Yeah.
And it created this. I mean, it revolutionized the horror genre. It gave people a new type of realistic horror that we hadn't seen before.
Very realistic.
Just like very realistic. And it's like as I mentioned, I was telling Kim, I drive hour and 40, one way to work, and I drive from Virginia through Kentucky. Well, there are two things that I see on almost a daily basis, and because I see these two things, or because of my watching of horror films, I know not to do these two things. One of these things that I see is in Kentucky a hand-drawn sign on the side of a road nailed to a tree with a very ominous-looking dirt road leading back into the mountain. And what this homemade sign says is homemade beef jerky. And there is no way in hell.
Not enough money.
You don't even have to be in Kentucky to know that one.
Even if it's free.
No, thank you.
Free beef jerky, that's great.
Ooh.
Bring the kids and make sure they're plump. Oh, no.
Sign the old witch in the woods. Yeah.
So, I see that every day, and I'm like, seen wrong turn, it's like, thanks.
Yeah,
and
all those movies.
Exactly.
The Hills Have Eyes. I mean, all these movies.
Uh-huh.
There are millions.
It's hillbilly horror, yeah.
It is hillbilly horror, And then there's a restaurant that just opened. The main 4-lane road that runs from Virginia into Kentucky is Highway US 23, and they're in between the town of Pound, Virginia, which is named after a pounding mill. It's the Pound, Virginia, and Wise, Virginia, which is where my ex-wife and my kids are. So I go see them on a regular basis. There on the side of the road is an old hotel. Or motel. Actually, it's a motel, not a hotel. It's a motel. And the main office, which is adjacent, not connected, but adjacent to the motel, has been turned into a barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going, okay. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes.
There's again, no way in hell that I'm going to eat your barbecue. You're attached to a derelict motel.
I credit my love of horror for my 2+ decades of vegetarianism.
Exactly.
Because wise.
It's very wise.
Just because.
Just because.
Just because. So, but now I have to ask, because I again, cheesy horror film, but created its own cult following. The Evil Dead, Sam Raimi,
of course,
one of my favorites.
What did you think of the remake of that? Because I know that is a polarizing movie. People either loved it or they hated it.
When I watched that as the ending of my 100 Days of Horror, I think 2 years ago. I personally loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I did too.
I liked. I thought it was a really good example of how you can update a movie while still and calling it it kind of walked that line between remake, reboot. It wasn't really a remake.
Right.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Either. I didn't call it a remake.
Especially with that little button at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I thought, keeping with the mythology, staying true to what was established in the original films, and was genuinely again atmospheric and creepy and really nicely done. I think my high school drama club, we used to watch Army of Darkness at every single one of our cast parties. That was the tradition, was Army of Darkness. And that was actually the first of the 3 I ever saw.
Okay.
And
I don't even know these assholes.
Which is very much carried over into like Ash vs. Evil Dead and all of that. Yeah. But when I finally saw the original Evil Dead, I was really initially surprised at how different in tone it was. To even part 2, which is not as slapstick.
One.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of its own. It was Evil Dead 2 was kind of a remake of Evil Dead without
it's a remake.
sequel. I mean,
Right.
it really was.
Right.
I mean, it was like Raimi
they
having a little
actually-
bit.
Look, we have money now.
Exactly.
They actually did not think that anybody was going to watch that first one. They thought it was basically a fun project they did, and they didn't think anybody was really going to watch it.
Essentially, yeah.
So,
basically.
and so then they did number two. Well, they actually called the second one just Evil Dead, and because they didn't think them. But somebody else says, "Well, you already did an Evil Dead, so this has got to be Evil Dead 2." And so they really kind of thought about that a little bit, but. I love them both. The second one's my favorite, actually, but I love them both.
Where the Seymour fights with his hand, like I never get tired of watching that ever in my life.
Bruce Campbell though is amazing.
Oh,
yeah, yes he is.
Yeah. But no, I thought the remake was really well done. And that's except reboot, whatever. That's to me one of the few examples of a really successful reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. Because I think it also didn't try to. I feel like modern horror wants to explain too much. Well, even using James Wan as an example, the original Insidious, I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start down the path of the sequels, with each sequel trying to give us more backstory. And the more backstory you get, the more uninteresting the story gets.
That's true.
For me, again, the movie watching and horror particularly are very, very subjective. But I thought part of what made the original, the same with, again, the original Halloween, part of what makes the original Halloween really effective is just it doesn't need to do any of these. You don't need to know that he was beaten as a child. You just need to know that this is messed up and scary and someone's stalking you. It's like Black Christmas is another one where the original Black Christmas, it's fantastic. And the remake is a train wreck. It is an absolute, the flesh cookie, I just remember the flesh cookies. Very vivid memories of the flesh cookies in the remake and asking myself, why are we doing this? Exactly. It's unnecessary.
The first one was totally mysterious. The first one you had absolutely no idea what was going on, but of course, like you said, the remake, they had to explain everything, why he was like this, exactly.
Who cares?
Took away all the mystery.
And you lose one. I think there's something about keeping that mystery too that keeps you intrigued about it.
I don't want to understand the monster. I just want to watch him kill everybody.
Right.
Well,
Well, and I think another example where they did that with the backstory was, My Bloody Valentine.
Oh yeah.
It's difficult to say Canadian horror film without biting my tongue, but to have My Bloody Valentine, really be what it was, which was a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
And then they did the remake, and it was like, what were you thinking?
Well, we wanted to throw 3D things at you, so they were thinking
of course
that.
Yeah.
And the eyeball flying at you. That was like my favorite. I laughed so hard, I thought I was just going to die. Really, is this a comedy?
Looking at
I didn't know that.
Looking at Canadian horror, Pontypool. Pontypool is one that I really loved.
Never heard of it.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, and it's got a radio station too. So,
okay.
I think you'd actually really like it.
Yeah, it's a really, really solid movie and a really interesting take on the idea of zombies.
Okay.
I don't want that's one that I wouldn't want to spoil, so I don't want to say too much. But if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It's really, I think, I want to say it came out like 2008 or so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It used to be streaming on Netflix. I'm not sure if it still is, but it used to be.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
How do you spell that?
Pontypool.
Yeah. And that's definitely Canadian.
Really good though, very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
The acting is really amazing. I mean, it's great too. It's really good.
Well, and the lead actor in it, Stephen McHattie, he's really fantastic as the disc jockey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I work with disc jockeys, and they are zombies. That's all I mean to say.
So this might really hit home for you.
It might. Wendy's heard me say this. I swear to God. I create their schedule for them. I email it to them. I print it out to put it in their box. I hang one in the booth, and invariably I will get a phone call at some point. When do I work? Like, no.
So they're like actors, is what you're telling me.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-oh. One that I just watched, I just did a live tweet of, in fact, was Slumber Party Massacre. And that's actually one that talking about movies that we wouldn't mind being remade. In the right director's hands, meaning a woman, because it was intended to, it was originally directed and written by a woman. I would be curious to see. That one might translate, because the original is silly and ridiculous and fun, but it's also not one that it's not as familiar as Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or Halloween, where people have very, very strong feelings about. And it wasn't like it was a masterclass in filmmaking to begin with. So, but it's again, it's a fun story. You got the killer with his giant drill.
Right.
Because why not?
What doesn't tell you about this? Yeah.
Right.
But that's one. I think some of the slashers of the 80s that were super low budget and not initially very good. I think those are pretty safe to remake, because you're not messing with something that like redefines filmmaking or redefine the way a genre is seen. You're playing around with some stuff that didn't have a lot of money to begin with, so why not? And those are kind of the safe ones. If you want safe things to remake, it's stuff that wasn't super commercially successful to begin with, because you're not going to get people who are like, no, my childhood.
Yeah, exactly, like me.
Well, I'm thinking
there can't be female Ghostbusters. My childhood. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit in the corner and cry my tears.
But I can't get it out of my head that, June, did you make me sit down in high school and watch My Bloody Valentine with you?
Oh, that's right. I think I did.
For some reason, I think you did too.
When you said that. When you just said that, it just came back to me. I think we were both like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I think. We were both about 15, 15.
Maybe about the time Mom got cable for us. Yeah.
Yes, because your mom had like this huge satellite dish, and we could watch practically anything, and we stayed up late and watched like Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy or something like that.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to be watching it, and we were like being on the lookout. Yeah, I remember that.
Mom's in a drunken stupor. It's all cool.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
When I was like, I want to say when I was 11, this Candyman came out, I think in 92. And so it would have been, it was on, I was with my brother, and we were at a cabin. We had a cabin in the mountains on the Wenatchee River when I was a kid. And we went to some family friend's house, and they had a satellite dish. So we loved going over there, because they had the big, huge satellite dish that would like turn to get all of the space stations.
Right.
And it was they had this big television on the second floor, and so all the adults are on the ground floor, and they send the kids up to watch TV. And they got satellite dish, which means we're going to be looking at all the the HBOs, whatever is on, to find something. And my brother picks Candyman, and it had to have been out of theaters maybe a year or so. And so I'm like 11 years old or something, and he's like, it's a movie called Candyman. You like Willy Wonka. This will be like Willy Wonka. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, no, wait. You were like 11 when Candyman. How the hell old are you?
I was.
She's just a babe.
Don't ask a lady that question.
Good God, I
She's
feel
an
old.
actress. She cannot divulge her age.
If you can do math, you could probably figure out how old I am. That's why I tell some of my students.
Yeah, I know. I'm going, good God.
I think she was
Okay,
born
never
when I
mind.
graduated high school.
Well, I'm going, okay.
Oh,
I
man.
was in college. I was in college when Candyman came out. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was not. When Candyman came out, I was in the 5th grade.
Well, Travis, you missed that.
It probably would have been 1993, probably, when it came to HBO or whatever. And so I was 11. I want to say I was 11, probably. Mm-hmm. And that movie, I was both absolutely enthralled by it and so terrified. The hook just splitting people up. That did a number on me. And I mean, that was back when things still also scared me. I'm far too desensitized now. And I remember like being afraid I wouldn't go into the bathroom unless the light was already on because there was mirrors in there. And even if you didn't say Candyman, somehow, like maybe if I was just thinking it. It's like the Bye-Bye Man where you think it too many times and he just happens.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, don't. It's awful.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Don't think it, don't say it, don't see it. It's awful. That pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
That's good.
It was, I watched that to write the review for the Horror Honeys, and I other than saying Doug Jones, who plays the actual Bye-Bye Man in it, and it did make me want to give him a big hug.
He's awesome. I love him.
That's sort of the best thing about the entire movie is just that Doug Jones is in it. And you're like, oh, it's Doug Jones. I want to hug you. Okay, I'm done. But I do remember then maybe a year or two, I think it was for my 13th birthday, I had a sleepover, and I made all the girls who came over, we watched People Under the Stairs, and we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The People Under the Stairs.
That's a fantastic movie. But I think I spread that scarring love because I some of my girlfriends I think they're still mad at me about making them watch that. Mostly Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That for some reason left a lasting impression on a group of 13-year-old girls. I don't know why.
I can't imagine.
I've always passed on watching it.
But these are all movies too that I mean, like I have such a deep love of Candyman because I saw it so young, and it's amazing how much the nostalgia. I love slasher movies. I love slasher movies because I grew up on slasher movies, and Friday the 13th I've seen all 12 of them now if you count Freddy versus Jason. For better for worse, and somewhere in my heart there is love for all of them. Maybe not Jason Goes to Hell, but there is maybe not that one. I'm sorry, Jason. That was
with a brother named Jason with homicidal tendencies. No, I just didn't do that.
That was a little too close to home.
Yes, completely.
I could understand that. But it's hard to. One of my first horror memories is the movie Squirm.
Oh my God!
And I can't have anything but love for that movie because I saw it. I think I was 5 or 6 when I saw it, and I love it. I love it. Killer worms.
You made me a worm face. I'll make you a worm face too.
Oh my God.
That's good. That's really good.
I've seen that movie.
So it's hard to objectively sometimes even look at some of these older movies and say, is this a good movie? Probably not. But you still but you're not you're looking at through your child eyes or your teenage eyes, and those are such nice memories. And I think about watching it with my mom and sometimes thinking, what were you thinking? But other times it developed my love of horror. And so you can't be. I can't be too critical of some of those movies because it helped define so much of my love for scary and creepy things in horror movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, and no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I have the same thing. I mean, my dad was a coal miner, and so he would work like the evening shift, which meant he went to work around 3. He got home around 11 or midnight. On Friday nights, we would sit and watch, at that time, CBS Late Night. And CBS Late Night typically there was a double feature, and CBS Late Night would always run one horror film. Mm-hmm. And so some of my earliest memories of spending time with my dad are on those Friday nights, sitting on the couch watching a horror film. And I remember one of the first legitimate horror films that I saw was The Omen. So I remember, and I remember the decapitation scene. I remember the dogs and the cemetery. And those were images that were just burned into my mind. And then there were other. I saw Scared Stiff with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, which was a remake, was a remake of Ghostbreakers with Bob Hope. And
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Abbott and Costello meet Wolfman.
Exactly. So I saw those, and then I saw The Omen, and then what got me interested in the paranormal was actually Kolchak the Night Stalker. With Darren
yeah.
Watching those, because that was CBS would run that at 11, 12 o'clock at night. They would run one of those episodes, and they would run a movie. So I got interested in that. I now own the entire, I own the 2 movies, The Night Stalker and The Night Strangler, and then I own the entire series on DVD and watch it, and watch it with my kids and introduce them to it, and of course, then that gave rise to the X-Files, and I was one of those people that watched the X-Files before it was even a phenomenon. It was just a really cool show on Fox. It was just something that was out of the ordinary.
And did a lot of weird monster stuff. I love the monster stuff was my favorite.
Yeah, the Monster of the Week thing. The whole alien thing, which Wendy knows I have an interest in the extra. I almost said extracurricular. The extraterrestrial.
Extracurricular extraterrestrials.
Yes, I have an interest in that. But they're the unique monsters that Chris Carter and his team did create were fascinating.
Definitely.
So yeah, but that for me, those are the nostalgic things. So that's what I've tried to introduce my kids to. That's especially my daughter, letting her see these films, letting her critique them. She does. She's brutal. She tears these movies apart. We watched. Awesome. I let her watch the first Amityville, the original Amityville Horror, and she's like,
damn.
She's like, it wasn't very scary, Dad. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Right? Yeah.
It was.
It was.
Yes, it was.
Movies for you, but it was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a time when this movie terrified audiences and terrified people. She's like, it's just not that scary. I'm like, but it really just kind of is.
Yeah.
But again, I think it comes back to what they're used to and what they've experienced.
Well, as I say, what is scary changes too as when you're younger as when you're older. When I was younger, I lived out. We had woods. We went to a cabin on the weekends. So anything that took Friday the 13th used to terrify me because I was like, this could be taking place right now outside of my window.
Right.
And now as an adult woman who lives by herself, home invasion films, that's probably the one genre that scares me. Like The Strangers messed with me.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because I'm like, that could happen.
Not me, because I didn't watch it.
That's fair.
Well, speaking of Cabin in the Woods, what'd you think of that one?
Oh, I loved it.
I did.
That
was
a great movie. I loved how everything interworked and interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And the shout outs for horror fans.
Yes.
Yes.
All
exactly.
Meta enough to be satisfying and visual gags and something that has a lot of rewatch value, because every time I've watched it, there's been new things I've seen where I'm like, oh, I missed that the first time.
And also, it's like really, really looking at the monsters, looking at all the different monsters. Like, oh my god, I totally,
But the people in the compound down below, they were the real monsters.
Well,
Well, yeah.
And taking apart again a lot of the horror tropes that we have,
right?
And again, taking a whole other look at them and acknowledging them, which more and more. I mean, there's a lot more, I think, meta filmmaking happening because we're of a certain generation too,
right?
Looking even just back at the original Scream movie, and seeing how the films evolved to the most recent one, Scream 4, where, I mean, you can't make a movie like that anymore and not just come right out with the fact that, like, we're being meta. Let me hit you over the head with it.
Okay.
But it's that, again, it's that evolution.
Now, one of my more recent favorite ones is the, is it Tucker and Dave versus Evil?
Oh, Tucker and Dale.
Oh, yeah.
Dale. Sorry,
I love that. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a delightful movie.
Yes, it is. Quite. You're gagging on all of the gore while you're laughing so bad you're about to pee yourself, right?
With genuine horror comedy is really a hard feat to achieve.
Yes.
They're usually heavy on one side or the other. And that to me was genuine horror comedy.
Yes, it was. It was perfect.
Yeah. Slither too. I really enjoyed Slither.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the script was fun. I thought the acting was good. I thought and again, I haven't watched Slither in it's been a number of years since I've seen it. So
yeah,
take that as it will, but Nathan Fillion was never a bad thing.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I may be even thinking about the one that was just the S's across.
What?
The movie that was just the S's.
S. Oh, yeah. That was Dirk Benedict. And
Dirk Benedict. Yeah.
Hiss.
I remember that.
That's a 70s one, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, with the giant snakes, or not giant snakes, just snakes.
Well, they turned into the the experiments.
That's probably another one June said, Wendy, you gotta watch that.
Probably.
Damn it, June!
Well,
I'm not really hardcore horror.
One thing really bad, though, is sometimes I'll have a friend ask me and say, well, is this movie very scary? And I'm like, oh, no, not scary. It's like The Ring. And one of my friends asked me and said, is that very scary? And I said, oh, no, it's not hardly scary at all. It's just very suspenseful. And in my head, it's suspenseful. You know, I really enjoy it. It's been cute. I think it's a cute movie. It's fun. And I got a very belligerent phone call from her. Well, you know, after they found the little girl in the well, she's like, well, that wasn't too bad. And of course, she thought that's where it ended.
Just wait.
But, you know, I find myself so jaded now. It's like, you know, if somebody does ask me, you know, it's like, well, do you think this is very scary? It's like, no. Well, it's also a Brotherhood of the Wolf. You know, somebody asked me if they thought it was very violent and things like that. And I said, oh, no, it's not that violent. And then I watched it again and I'm like, whoops.
Never mind.
That is a good movie. And I actually prefer watching. It is. And I actually, you know, I don't even really need, you know, the subtitles or the voiceover. I mean, just to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Well,
in
the
original French,
everything. The fighting choreography is incredible.
It is.
Visually, it's a really nicely done. Yeah. Visually, everything.
Very well done. I need to. I have not watched that in a long time. I need to watch that.
Is that a really old one? Because I kind of remember the name, but
2001 or something. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, late. late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, it was really really good movie. Really good. Kind of a fictionalizing, or maybe the beast of Gévaudan in France. That was supposedly a werewolf, and the explanation is a very cool kind of explanation in that movie. It really is
very cool. Yeah. Sad. And
it was, but still a very cool movie.
Wendy, don't watch it though. I because they have a wolf killing scene that would really, really upset me.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Probably as far as I watched.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we actually we started because so many of the horror honeys were so sensitive to the animal deaths in movies. We actually started another website called Day of the Animals, where we track animal deaths or harm to animals in movies, and actually do timestamps and a description of what it is that happens to see whether or not it's something people could watch.
Interesting.
That's good.
That's nice.
Because I'm fine watching humans die, but as soon as,
animals, no.
Oh, no. The CGI alien dog in Riddick made me cry when that died, so.
Yeah, me too. I was the same way.
It's so funny. I took, last summer when Jurassic World came out, I took my daughter and son to see that, and the scene where the hybrid dinosaur kills all the long necks.
I cried.
My daughter bawled. She was crying her eyes out, and I'm like, Princess, it's okay. And she's like, no. She's like,
no, it's
I don't
not,
care if I don't care if it kills the people. But why did it have to kill the long necks?
Oh,
it's true though.
Yeah, it's very true.
I mean, you don't really care if the people die, but why would you kill the dog?
Right?
Like,
what the hell?
They had it coming.
Yeah, they usually do.
Maybe that's why I like the movie Cursed. That was stupid. It was a stupid movie, but
it's a good popcorn. It's a popcorn.
Yes, it is. Very much so. Yeah,
it's fun. It's silly. Yeah,
it's fun to watch.
Because there's also that distinction between sometimes people ask me if something's good, and I'm like, well, it's entertaining,
right?
Because there's a difference. Like I will call something a horror film versus a horror movie. Like, I think of, Silence of the Lambs as a horror film.
Yes, it's a film. Yes.
Slumber Party Massacre is a horror movie.
That's good.
A good horror movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And again, you will be entertained.
Absolutely. One of my... Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, no, I was saying what June was saying about when people ask for recommendations of things. And because everyone knows I'm, maybe lightly into horror, I get asked that a lot by some of my friends who are a little bit more normal. And I try to think really hard, and I'll ask them lots of questions about what do you find scary versus are you bothered by gore, or are you bothered by supernatural or religious horror? Because what one person's going to find scary, again, my dad's really bothered by religious horror stuff, where it doesn't particularly bother me, and it never really did. But someone else can't do jump scares or can't do extreme gore, and so everybody has their thing that's going to get to them, and so you can make better recommendations if you know exactly what is going to trigger, what's going to be too far, what's going to be accessible, what's going to be okay. And my sister-in-law can do zombies for some reason, and so I recommend lots of zombie movies to her, because that's like an acceptable level of horror. But we watched on Christmas Eve, we always do a live tweet of Black Christmas with the Horror Honeys every Christmas Eve. And she was watching it with me, and I think it was the first death of the movie. She was just like, nope, and left the room. You're like, all right then, I guess that was too much.
I never saw that one, yeah.
Black Christmas?
Right. The neighborhood kids across the street that used to haunt my house all the time. They were always over there, always wanting to play with the dog, BS with me, whatever. They would come over and we'd watch. I'd let them watch Silver Bullet or Poltergeist or something, reasonably safe, and we'd sit there and make fun of it and have fun and just, like I said, once again, just sit there and BS about it all. But they told me that the worst one they had ever seen was Black Christmas, and I couldn't even find it at the time. I went, okay, I'll remember that forever. And they were all, late single digits, early teens.
That's funny.
I'm trying to think what the worst horror movie that I would say I have seen. Of course, Manos, The Hands of Fate has to rank
worse
up
than
there.
horror, worse than like just like a bad
horrible movie, bad
Tusk.
movie, bad just.
Tusk.
Can't even say the name. It makes me want to vomit.
I know, right?
I mean, I've seen some pretty bad low budget ones where, and I try not to be too judgmental with indie movies because someone's dealing with low budget. That you don't want to, they're doing the best they can with the budget they have, but sometimes there's just movies that
they're just bad.
Make you mad, and they're just bad. There was one, Spirit in the Woods, and Hulu recommended it to me. It was a found footage. I like found footage, and I watched it, and I got angry at the end of that movie. I was like, Hulu, why?
What was it?
Spirit in the Woods.
It's
just dumb, and it's poorly made, low budget. But the thing that made me mad was that Hulu was like, you would like this movie, and it was during the 100 Days of Horror.
Why do you think I would like this movie?
Why do you think I was offended that Hulu thought I'd like it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun bad, because there's fun bad. There's fun bad,
Right.
Like Birdemic. Birdemic is fun bad.
Yeah, it is very fun bad.
You're still gonna have a good time watching it because it's so ridiculous.
Okay.
But to me, the kiss of death of a horror film is being boring.
Very true. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Well, see, that was my problem. That was my problem when I tried to watch the Paranormal Activity the first time. The very first one, I actually fell asleep.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, this movie isn't keeping my attention.
Right.
And so I felt, but I did, and I tried it twice, and I didn't, and then I finally watched it, and enjoyed it when I finally watched it all the way through, and I let it actually pick up.
Right.
And for me, that was it was refreshing to come back and revisit it, going, okay, I was wrong by falling asleep, because they actually are. All of them are pretty good. They do, but they're good, and they connect, and it's not just a sequel for the sake of a sequel, with the exception of the marked ones, which the only thing I liked about that was it's tied back to the first one.
Yeah.
For me, that was the only redeeming quality of that one. But I think one of my favorite horror films, and I love everything about the movie up until the end, and the ending sucks, is The Manitou with Tony Curtis.
I don't.
I like that.
Remember
movie.
that at all?
Okay.
I love the. It's about it's based on a series of books.
I'm gonna have to watch it because I don't remember
It's
supernatural, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It's a supernatural. It's about this Native American spirit, the Manitou, that is being reborn on this woman's shoulder. And Tony Curtis plays this charlatan, psychic, tarot card reader, but who is into the paranormal and into the supernatural, and all of a sudden he gets thrust into this very real supernatural drama that he has to. Well, it's hard to find. If you go to Amazon, you can buy it, but even the used DVDs are like $100.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But it's got Michael Ansara in it, Tony Curtis, and I forgot the
Susan
female.
Strasberg.
Susan Strasberg, yes. I was going to say I forgot her name. Susan Strasberg, and and Burgess Meredith is in it. As a small cameo role as a college professor. But it's a really fun movie to watch, set in San Francisco, and it's just a really fun movie up until the end. And then, of course, I think it came out in 78, 79, maybe something like that. And so you get this really good 70s almost Streets of San Francisco detective procedural as they're putting together what's going on. A little bit of comedy. And then all of a sudden, for some strange, unforeseen reason, there's like this whole other dimensional Star Wars kind of ending to it. And it's like, what the hell?
It was Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls.
It's streaming. It's streaming on Shudder.
God.
You can find it streaming on Shudder. It is on Shudder now. Yep, I just looked it up because Shudder's been picking up a lot of stuff like that that's hard to find DVD wise, and it is streaming on Shudder.
Yeah, I do have Shudder. But I was going to mention too, another thing that is really, really annoying is like the last Blair Witch movie that just happened, where they tried to throw in over 100 jump scares, one after another, that just got to be so annoying. And so, I mean, the movie was stupid anyway. It's just like, it was just really stupid. But then all of a sudden, the tent flies up in the air. Something else happens. It's like you don't even have any build-up whatsoever in that movie. And it's like, then it's like they try to make it too exciting. It's like,
and too much backstory. Again, you're trying to explain something that you didn't need to go, like, it was scary by itself. You didn't need to give it all this detail.
And then the stupid time thing that they had. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, you look like I remembered you. It just makes me laugh so bad. It's really bad.
The Blair Witch was one of those movies I watched, and I'm going, there's nothing scary about this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't jump. I'm not going, I don't get it. And for me, it's kind of like, and it's not just in the horror genre. I mean, there are some movies I don't think ever need to have sequels. They just don't need them. The Hangover did not need to have sequels.
No, it didn't.
No.
By definition,
it was a cute first movie.
Yes, the first one was great. I love it. It was hilarious. But it's like the first, by definition, The Hangover is an event. It's not something that is going and trying to make it happen in different set. It just, it didn't need to happen.
Stretching something further than it needs to.
It's like, no, this is a pointless issue. Yeah. The Tiger Song, one of my favorite things in the movie, that. But, you didn't need the second one. And I didn't even see The Hangover Part 3. I just chose not to even see it. Even though it went back to the I chose, I'm like, I can't do this.
The Jaws 4 of movies.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I love Jaws, and actually this weekend I watch Jaws 3 times a year: Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, and Labor Day weekend. I start my summer with Jaws, and then because it's set 4th of July, I watch it 4th of July, and then I end my summer with Jaws. So I always watch Jaws 3 times.
That's a good tradition. I like it.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I approve of that.
and Jaws 2 I can sit through, and it's okay. Jaws 3.
Oh my God.
I'm going, okay, it's getting redundant. I cannot even watch Jaws 4.
No.
I have tried many times. I have tried, and I have told people, I said, it is a damn bad movie when the filmmaker can't even make the Bahamas look attractive.
Right? Damn.
That's funny.
That is bad.
It's like, there is nothing about this movie that works. Nothing. The cast doesn't work. It feels, watching it feels like a Lifetime made for TV movie.
It does feel like it was made for TV. Definitely feels like it was made for TV.
And I'm going, yeah. But I love Jaws. That is one of my favorite. And another horror, not horror film that I fell in love with, and they did way too many sequels, was Tremors. I love the first Tremors.
Oh, the first!
If
that's on TV, I can't not watch it. Every time I've come across it, I'm like, I have to watch it.
I'm the same way.
Everything about that movie works. I mean, it's good, and it was a good
horror comedy too. A nice blend of both. Yeah,
and a nice throwback to the the big monster movies of the 50s. I love. One of my favorite classic is Them, about the giant ants.
Oh, yes.
I love them. That sound that they make. I love that movie. That's one of those movies. That's one of those movies. That's one of those. If it's on TV, I have to stop and watch it. I don't care.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what's happening.
Doesn't matter. I will stop and watch that movie because I love it. It's just a great big bug movie.
No. What was that? Battleship Troopers?
It's really fun.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
Yeah, exactly. Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. It's just it was one of those movies that you could tell. I mean it was a classic horror film. It had a story. It was trying to get something across. It was trying to make us think about what the long-term effects of atomic energy and atomic bombs. What is this doing to the environment? And it was a very one of those eye-opening kind of films. If you watch it now, looking back, going, oh hell, they were actually trying to say, you guys are screwing up. You need to you need to slow down what you're doing. Be a little more conscious of your environment and what's going on. And that's one of the things I do like about horror films is that while even, I remember I grew up in an extremely evangelical, conservative Christian home, I know, right? Imagine that.
Yep.
But, so, there was this fine line. We could watch certain horror films we couldn't growing up in our formative years. So like the slasher films where there was nudity and sex and things like that. But, I kept saying, really, when I got into college, I'm like, those are nothing more than modern day morality plays.
Yeah.
They are saying, if you drink, if you do drugs, if you are promiscuous, you're going to get killed. That's what's going to happen.
If you wear matching bra and panty sets, you're going to get killed.
Yes. Yes. If you are off having sex and the camp director, or not the camp director, but the camp cook's son drowns, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yep.
But not literally, yeah.
But not in the way you want.
Well, maybe mid-act. That's fine.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
But that is, it's like, they're and looking back, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Friday the 13th, the first, all of those were actually really good standalone movies that really didn't need to inspire franchises. Mm-hmm. They didn't really need. That was just what happened. That was just the way that Hollywood works. Something makes money. Oh, well, not only are we going to make sequels, but a few years down the road, we're going to remake it and reboot it, and we're going to try it again.
You're going to run it into the ground until it dies.
And at some point, cross it over with other slashers.
With other genres, other franchises, yes. Mm-hmm. All of those sorts of things.
Excuse me. Well, this has been a live and entertaining conversation. Thanks, ladies. And Travis.
Wow, thanks, Wendy. Thanks, ladies.
Sorry, I'm trying not to choke. I've got the allergy crap going on, and I'm trying not to cough. So I apologize. I just put a mint in my mouth to try to get it out.
Well, I love discussing horror movies and horror films.
Yes.
And talking to people who do enjoy watching them. Mm-hmm. And who look beyond, what's on the screen. What I love, listening to directors of horror films talk about what they were trying to capture, what they're trying to accomplish. And I love watching outtakes because there's nothing any funnier than when you're watching a movie that is supposed to scare the crap out of you and then seeing people screw up in the outtakes and the bloopers and all of that stuff not go right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's always fun and exciting. And
exciting.
so I have to ask, we're talking remakes, we're talking reboots, and you know what I'm going to ask about because it's coming out in September. What about it?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I will watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to withhold judgment before I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that where, again, from a nostalgia point, I was like, whoa, my childhood, why are you doing this? I think it's one that, for the current generation, will have more impact in a slicker setting. Whether or not the movie itself ends up being successful is yeah. But I sort of I do understand why.
No,
it's
that,
not.
yeah.
I'll see it. Yeah.
Yeah. What I find interesting is how they're doing it.
Yes.
That I find very interesting.
Two separate.
Because two separate. You know, it worked with the Harry Potter movie. It worked with what was it? The Hunger Games. Was it the last Hunger Games they did?
Last Hunger Games. Yeah.
I don't know if it works with a horror film. Do you think you can keep? Will you keep the audience's attention long enough in between? And I don't know. Are they doing it 6 months apart or a year apart? I'm not sure what the release.
I thought initially, and I may be wrong now because they've changed so much since it's gone through a bunch of different things. I thought the intention was to release them a year apart, but that's
what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll hold the attention. I think, especially where things, I mean, because it used to be that if you didn't see something in theaters, you wouldn't see it on video for at least a year, if not more.
Right.
And now it's not uncommon to have things be in theaters while they're at the Redbox. The turnover is so quick that if you miss it in theaters, you're like, it'll be streaming in like a month or two, so it's fine.
Right.
So I think that any audience that doesn't come and see it, they can definitely build off of an audience that's going to watch it on demand or watch it streaming or watch it whatever. I
was going to say, obviously, there are going to be theaters that when the second part comes out, they're going to do double features. You're going to come.
Exactly.
They'll show the first one, and then you stay and see the second one.
And again, looking at who I'm sure some of their audiences is geared towards, it's like most of them don't have the Tim Curry feels that the rest of us have.
Right.
Because they may not even know, other than like, it's that dude from Rocky Horror. If they know Rocky Horror, which if you're a drama kid, you probably do, but otherwise you might not. And so I think because I know for me that's a big part of the nostalgia factor of the original movie,
right?
Which because objectively is maybe not the best made film, but Tim Curry,
right,
exactly.
So this is an opportunity.
I would say most of the other actors in the original It were kind of cheesy, old, TV actors.
Because it was a made-for-TV movie,
yeah, exactly. And so I would like to see, how they're going to portray that. But like you said, with Tim Curry, to me, that that's a little bit of sacredness.
Yes,
Tim Curry, in that role. But some of the other actors,
Well, when you look back at that, it was all. You had John Boy Walton, for God's sakes.
Right? Yeah.
And
was Tim Matheson in
John? No,
not that one. Okay, sorry.
You had
the guy from the
African American actor.
Right.
And
John Ritter
from Three's Company, and then you had Tim African American actor. He's in Northern Virginia. Was in WKRP in Cincinnati. Played Venus Flytrap, and I forgot his name.
One of my favorite shows.
And and then so it was TV actors, and but it was a frightening movie.
Yes.
Right.
It's it scared people on TV. It scared me, and I was almost in college when that one came out. I mean, so and it still was a frightening movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I am anxious to see,
how they're going to do it.
And I like that the most of the kids that they've cast are kind of these unknown actors, so they don't really have any other credits to them really. So it's like watching real life people, kind of like honestly, one of my favorite shows right now has been Stranger Things on Netflix. I love that.
Oh yeah,
I love the Duffer Brothers did, I think, an amazing job of capturing 1980s nostalgia.
Yep.
With music and cinematography and the acting, everything. It was a perfect damn show, and I cannot wait for season 2.
Me neither.
Well, and there is something to be said, I hate to say it, there's something to be said about doing a movie like it with more of a budget, with a movie budget and not a made-for-television budget.
Exactly.
Big budget isn't everything, but it can help.
Well, we were talking earlier about sitting through a 3-hour horror film, and essentially that's what you're going to be sitting through, basically a 3 to 4 hour horror film. But when you watch this new It, and that was one of the things I think where Stephen King was smart in some ways is where a lot of his movies, because his books are so damn long, there's so much there. That when they became movies, it really was just a movie kind of inspired by a Stephen King story. It really wasn't the story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took, when he made the change creatively to start doing his books as made-for-TV miniseries, then that's when you started getting, you didn't have all of the gratuitous violence necessarily or the sex, but you did keep the story, the essence of the story.
Right.
The creep.
And that is, I think, for, as far as he was concerned, I think that was an ingenious decision on his part. But I think movie making, as we were talking, has changed, and the audiences have changed to the point where you probably could do a Stephen King movie or Stephen King book as a movie and not have to go through and have it edited down to the point that it was just it was a shadow of the Stephen King story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they're doing the Dark Tower for the first time, and that's one that, I mean, it was originally written. Was it the late 70s? Was it?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
When it started.
In the late 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It has continued. So you're talking about 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years of
and it's going to star. It's going to star Kim's boyfriend too.
Oh. Oh, come on!
Not complaining about that. Not complaining about that.
Who's going to star in it, June? If you say Kim's boyfriend,
it's Idris Elba. Yes, my. He doesn't know he's my boyfriend. But
okay.
I didn't know if it was Idris Elba or Matthew McConaughey. I didn't know which one was the.
I mean, I appreciate McConaughey. I can't say that. Yeah.
I understand that.
But that's one that I don't know could have been made before. And I mean, again, whether or not it's successfully made is a whole other thing. But I think we love a franchise now. I mean, there's a reason why those Marvel movies keep making money, and it's not because every single one of them is great.
Right.
But people love these expanded universes, and they love movies that are carrying over into movies that are crossing over into television, because we have, we've got Jessica Jones and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all, like, it's massive. Mm-hmm. And studios love that people like it because, again, you're going to make money from it. And at the end of the day, that's what they want to do. So no, I'm trying to keep a very open mind about it.
Okay. I was just curious. Well, and you mentioned, the extended universe, Universal trying to do that again with the Mummy reboot and introducing Dr. Jekyll and, trying to do this extended universe of Dracula and the Mummy and Wolfman and Frankenstein and all of this. And I'm going, it worked for you guys in the 40s when you did it because you did have those crossovers, House of Dracula, House of Frank, I don't know if it'll work, and I really don't know about modernizing the Mummy and setting it in modern. I'm curious about. I'm curious how that's going to work.
Yeah, and I was a big fan of. Both the Brendan Fraser version. Because again, I was how old I was when those movies came out. That was the late 90s that the original Mummy came out.
Possibly.
Probably 99, 2000, something like that.
Yeah. And so I was late teenager, and so they were fun. They were a great movie to go see with your friends, and Brendan Fraser's charming, and Rachel Weisz is lovely, and so those were super fun, and I liked that they kept it period, and the original Mummies, of course, are fantastic. I don't have necessarily the same kind of feelings about Tom Cruise, and so I'm not going to lie and say that that's not tainting my view of the whole thing a little bit. But yeah, whether or not it would translate to because that's not a story that's been. I think it's not your Dracula. It's not your vampires. I think are a lot more universal and are a lot more. You can plop a vampire in any time period in any setting, and you're going to be able to make a movie out of it. You can do that with zombies. You can do that with werewolves. You can do that with a lot of the monsters. The Mummy is a very specific, not just monster, but was playing on a very specific time.
Right.
That is,
excavation of Egypt and exploring and rediscovering this lost culture basically at that point, and it really did.
And the idea of curses and myths and the public was not that we don't love conspiracy theories and whatnot today, but I think.
There's a type of superstition.
It's right. It's a different thing. It's a very different feel. So whether or not that's going to translate, I don't know. But again, I will see it. I'm sure because I will see basically everything or anything. The Tom Cruise thing that does kind of.
Yeah, it's like is it going to be Mummy Impossible? Is it Dusty Business? What?
Oh, I saw where they're going to remake or they're going to make a new Top Gun.
Yes,
they're making a sequel. Yes, and Tom Cruise is in on it.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah. Now back to Universal for just a second. One of my favorite Universal creatures is the creature from the Black Lagoon. I love that movie.
Oh yes.
And they are supposed to be remaking that. And apparently the working title is just the Lagoon. But I love that, and I'm curious if that's going to be modern, if they're going to do it as a period, because I do love the story of the creature. I mean, it really is nothing more than Beauty and the Beast underwater. Is basically what it is. But it's just I love that movie. That's one of those movies. Again, if it's on TV, I stop and I watch. I don't care.
Yeah. And that's when I watched for last year's 100 Days of Horror because I hadn't seen it before. God. It was one of the few Universal ones I hadn't seen before.
And it actually has 2 sequels.
I haven't seen the sequels yet,
there are 3.
I think Revenge and what's Creature something about the creature walking.
Yes.
That's one that I to me that wouldn't be as successful in modern times. But also, you look at a movie like The Host, which is a monster movie. I mean, playing much more on the Godzilla side of things, but was contemporary. Part of it is too, I associate so much of the Universal monsters with the time they are from, with being period, that it's a little strange to me to make them contemporary. I like that they're period movies.
Well, yeah, that's what I loved about Wolfman with Benicio del Toro, is that they kept it as a period piece, and that's what I liked. Bram Stoker's Dracula, for good or bad, I like that. Even Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the period piece, keeping it true to at least the time. Make it steampunk if you want. Add some, but keep it in that time frame, and that I like.
But yeah, I've not seen a whole lot released details wise about it. It's I know that I think they've got a screenwriter attached, but I don't know if they even have a director attached to it yet. So it's sort of hard to say what they're going to end up doing with it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay.
Okay. Due to consensus on Messenger, everybody is starting to wind down a bit. So, I'm trying to choke to death from allergy crap. Whatever. But
so
Kim, where can we find you? Yeah, it is so attractive.
You can find me. You can find me at thehorrorhoneys.com and on Belladonna, and you can find me on Twitter at Seattle Screams. I live tweet things all the time, and as do the rest of the ladies.
Yes. So much fun.
Lots of fun.
I have to say, I love her. I love watching her tweets. The movie. So much fun.
And there'll probably be a live tweet tomorrow. In fact, I think the rescheduled boy will probably be tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Time to maybe 8
I'll
p.m.
watch it again.
Yeah.
We can all make fun of it.
Because it's so much more delightful when you can make fun of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Me telling the dog, Dakota, can you believe this crap? Or get him, Dakota.
Exactly.
Augie, stick him. That's where the shepherds come in handy.
Yeah, the cats aren't quite as good at that. The cats just kind of look at me like, what? What do you want me to do?
Whatever.
Take care of it yourself, woman.
I had the one way back in 97, 98, 90, somewhere in there, when the first Harry Potter movie came out and was playing on TV, or it might have been DVD, and he hated Voldemort. He would attack the television when Voldemort would come on.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
Remind me one day to tell you the story about Ray Fiennes, because there's not for today, but that's to be continued.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
We can do it. It can be done. Most definitely. Well, it's been so much fun and very lively, and I'm so glad both of you came on with us tonight. You still with me, Travis?
I'm still here.
Okay, you're just being awfully quiet.
I was just listening. I am just listening. Well, what I was going to say was when Wendy, you were saying back in 1997 when the first Harry Potter, and I'm going, yes, back in 1997 when Kim was an embryo.
I
wasn't allowed to watch horror films.
Oh, please. We killed that when I was about 5.
Yeah, that's when I got to 5 years old. The old Hammer horror movies.
We didn't
Squirm and Piranhas, that's what I remember.
We didn't even get into the Hammer horror films. So.
Oh, There's so much to cover.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a part 2 or part 3
Yes,
too,
yes.
with all these different movies.
We can
do
it.
The next one with foreign horror. The next one with hammer horror.
Hammer horror, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
And then
can we interest you all in a
Argento! Argento versus later Argento all by itself. Oh,
and Fulci and Argento. And
oh, there's so much. There's so much to cover.
We could go back. We could go back even further to Paul Naschy, and how many times that man played the Wolfman, more than Lon Chaney Jr.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I own a lot of the Naschy stuff. For Father's Day one year, my kids got me. It was at Walmart. They had 50 horror classics.
Oh, yes. And I have a lot of those, too.
And it's like there were like 3 DVD sets.
Yeah.
So I own 150 of these movies. But it's like this hard case DVD box, and when you open it up, there's like 50 individual DVDs in these little paper sleeves that are in there. And each DVD has 2 movies on it. And it's, Italian horror and German horror and The Devil Walks at Midnight, which is one of my favorite ones. I do love that movie. I have to say, I do love The Devil Walks at Midnight. Blood Sabbath, another great one. Manos, the Hands. Yes. Manos, the Hands of Fate. All of those. And then
I may not have to be a part of that one.
And some other really weird ones. What's the one that it's it always ends the same, I think is the name of it. It's about it's a really interesting concept because it's about this author who is agnostic / atheist, and he's denouncing God, and there's this individual who's actually the demon Moloch, depending on which, but he had been around since the time of the Nazis, and it was they do this whole thing about the fire sacrifice, and that's what the concentration camps were for, and it's just this really bizarre, kind of The Omen meets Boys from Brazil meets
Schindler's List.
Meets Schindler's List. Yeah, it's this really weird kind of thing.
I'm not sure if I've seen that one.
I will have to.
No.
I'll send you the information. I can't. And I see the actor who stars it. Well, actually, Richard Moles is one of the stars of it. Bull from Night Court. And then I can't remember the other guy's name, but it's a good one.
One for the 100 Days of Horror.
Yes, it is.
Definitely.
I will send you the information that I've got on it.
Oh, fabulous!
But with that, yes, it is.
Yes.
6 a.m. comes early.
He's on the East Coast. You guys are on the West Coast. Yeah. I'm just in the middle, so it's still okay here.
Oh my gosh!
All right. Well, it's been great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for having me on. This has been fun.
We will have you back. We will have you and Brothel June back on again.
Take a drink.
Thank you, Travis.
You're welcome. You guys have a great evening and a great rest of the week.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
Night.
What song takes us out, Windy Lady?
Well, I was going to play the one, but I think I'm going to go with Rob Zombie's, in honor of
That works.
Rob, one of the best werewolf videos ever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the name of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the best. Okay.
Yep.
Of course it is.
Yep, exactly, right?
Awesome.
But I'll even I'll unplug my headphones here, and maybe you all can listen if you want. Or listen to the recording later on. Anyway, all right. Rob Zombie. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
They can sense the rhythm of your blood.
What do you see?
They can sense the rhythm of your blood.
What do you see?
They can sense the rhythm of your blood.
What do you see?
They can sense the rhythm of your blood.
What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see?
Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. Join us every Wednesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. On behalf of Wendy Schindler, this is Travis Short saying have a great rest of your week.
And that's all, folks.